to withdraw his services as lawyer for Chairman Wontumi in the Samre Boy case, insisting ruling will be heard on July 3rd.
A lot later, family of baby thefts wants the missing baby from the Salaga Government Hospital and other residents as they block entry points to the community, chasing the MP away in protest.
It's News Central, live on TV3. I'm Kemeni Amana.
And I am Mawina Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now.
Now, the University of Cape Coast community is mourning the death of a level 200 student who went missing earlier this week. Circumstances surrounding the death of the female student are unclear as police investigate how her remains ended up on the shorelines in Cape Coast.
"22-year-old Innocentia Achupui Avenue, a level 200 Bachelor of Commerce student specializing in human resource management at the University of Cape Coast, was reported missing after she disappeared from her hostel on campus. According to information released by university authorities, Innocentia was last seen on the evening of June 11 at the Yensu Plaza hostel. Her roommate reportedly told investigators that Innocentia received a phone call around 7 p.m., dressed casually, and left their room. She never returned. Concerned friends and family members launched a search after attempts to reach her proved unsuccessful. 2 days later, residents near Duakon in Cape Coast reported the discovery of her body washed ashore at Hatchland Beach. Police officers who responded to the scene retrieved the body for identification and further investigations. The deceased was later identified by relatives and her roommates as Innocentia Achupui Avenue. Her body has since been deposited at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital mortuary, pending a post-mortem examination. The discovery has sent shock waves across the University of Cape Coast community, with students expressing grief and calling for a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding her death. Authorities say investigations are ongoing. The Ministry of Education has also expressed condolences to the bereaved family and the university community. Education Minister Haruna Idrisu has directed the university to collaborate fully with security agencies to ensure a comprehensive investigation into the incident. As family, friends and colleagues await answers, many are hoping the ongoing investigations will provide clarity and justice regarding the circumstances that led to the young student's untimely death.
Well, Natad will connect with family of Innocentia on this matter, but we also know that the IGP has deployed a special investigative task force to the area to investigate this matter. We also understand that based on police interaction with the family, they do not have reason to suspect foul play in this. What that means for the investigation, what that means for the family, we'll hear in a tad from an uncle to Innocentia. Samuel Baji is Innocentia's uncle, and he's joined us for a bit more. And Samuel, I can only imagine the pain and the difficulty the family is experiencing at this time, and accept our condolences here from News Central. But put that to words for us, how the family is processing what has happened. Well, it seems Samuel is unavailable at this time, but we'll put in a bit more work to get Samuel over the telephone and know from the family's point of view how they are processing this painful happening. But as we have mentioned, the Inspector General of Police has dispatched some men to investigate this incident that took place somewhere in Cape Coast.
To the courts this afternoon, where the Accra High Court has dismissed an application brought by Andy Apiakubi to withdraw his services as lawyer for Chairman Wontumi in the Samreboy case. In a ruling delivered by trial judge Audrey Kokuvite, the court indicated that Apiakubi doesn't need the court's permission to withdraw services through a motion. It further stated that regardless of a change in lawyers, the ruling will still be delivered on the 3rd of July 2025. Meanwhile, both the state and defense now have an extended time to file their final addresses from the 17th of this month to the 23rd of this month. I want to take you back, right, to what the facts of the case are, the charges that have been proffered against Chairman Wontumi and some 2 others. It was 3 others, but we know that one of such persons subsequently became prosecution witness in this particular matter and has since delivered his testimony as this case has been brought to an end. And as we await the final verdict of the court on July 3, reason for which we're seeing some of the motions and applications being brought by lawyer for Mr. Wontumi. The court has refused that particular application, but what exactly are the charges brought against him, reason for which we are here? One of such is Akwanta Mining Company in that Samreboy case. Now, they were slapped with a charge of undertaking mining operations without a license and also felling trees in a forest reserve without authority and also erecting buildings in a forest reserve without authorization. Then the man in question, Bernard Inchibuesiaku, who's the second accused, known also as Chairman Wontumi, he's pleaded not guilty to all counts. He's been charged with undertaking a mining operation without a license, and that we will get details of from the courts on July 3 as to whether or not the state, the prosecution, have proven the case beyond reasonable doubt to warrant for him to be sentenced in relation to this. Also, abetting the unauthorized felling of trees and also abetting the unauthorized erection of buildings. Because he's a man at the heart and center of all of this, a lot are centered around him. But there's also one director of Akwanta Mining also facing similar count in terms of charges, jointly charged with Wontumi for undertaking mining without a license, abetting unauthorized felling of trees, and abetting the erection of unauthorized buildings. Then this man, Edward Akioku, initially was charged, but subsequently the charges against him were withdrawn and he became a prosecution witness as well in this particular matter, which we are awaiting final verdicts from the court in relation to what is expected to happen. But we know that Andy Apiakubi has been speaking in the aftermath of the hearing today. Here's exactly what he told journalists after the court's hearing.
Law is growing, so we should be patient to learn the law, even situations of the court. But we relate to precedent at all times. And you remember that the civil procedure rules are different from the criminal procedure rules as we operate in the courtroom. But in the case of Republic versus Dufour, it was determined that case management, which was part of civil procedure, be adopted by the court. And since then, we have all adopted case management, which is part of civil procedure. And in law, whatever is excluded should not necessarily be included, but it does not also mean exclusion in another area of law. So once the courts have adopted part of civil procedure. There's the presumption that other parts would be appropriate if invoked. And in a recent case of Mrs. Tokonu versus the Attorney General, the Council wrote a piece of letter to inform the court of his withdrawal of services. And the court considered that inappropriate and inadequate, and therefore requested a proper procedural approach. Learning from that, and in the response to counsel, the court said that this is inappropriate. The court did not emphasize it is inappropriate in civil situations. It said it is inappropriate to address the court this way. So, learning from that direction, we also believe that as a court of records, we should properly inform the court of the reasons why we are withdrawing our services, and also inform all parties of such reasoning. Indeed, part of the argument of the court was that we did not serve our client, the accused person. And it is demonstrable, even in the court, that notwithstanding our intention to withdraw, we have stayed good to our client even till today.
That's Andy Appiah-Kubi speaking at the court premises after the hearing today. And it makes for an interesting view, because he's seeking, if you listen to him, he says that he's seeking to formally inform the court of his decision to withdraw his services to his client. The client in question is by him as he's granting that interview.
I mean, if you need to fire your client, go ahead and fire your client. I guess that's what the court is also saying in response. Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot to say about that.
Absolutely.
But there are no opinions here. So we'll leave it at that.
We leave it at that.
Now, let's turn attention to party politics, because the flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, says the standard of Ghana's education system is failing. Speaking during his visit to the Christian Council of Ghana, he attributed the situation to the growing political interference in the country's educational administration. According to him, decisions affecting schools and academic institutions, as well as their management, should be driven by merit and professionalism rather than partisan interest. He further warned that continued interference could undermine the quality of education and national development.
Discussing this morning how some of the standards have fallen in some of the schools, that which were the mission schools, they fall in the standards. And I was asking the question, how come we didn't maintain these standards? Very, very sad. I mean, my mother went to Wesley Girls, and the standards were also very, very, very high. These are some of the best schools. The mission schools have produced some of the best schools in our country. Unfortunately, we interfered in their management. And as we always say, when something is not broken, don't try to fix it. Excellence should have been, the centers of excellence should have been maintained, and the formula which made them centers of excellence should have been maintained. Unfortunately, we did not maintain them, and we are paying a price for it. But we will talk more about that. I think you need to get more interested in education in these schools again. So I believe that this contribution is across various segments, and I salute the Christian Council of Ghana. I salute you 100 times. I salute you for what you have done for this country. What you have done for this country.
A bit more stories for you this afternoon. As the morning rush hour builds along some of Accra's busiest highways, a disturbing reality unfolds before the eyes of thousands of motorists. Instead of being under the care of adults, children as young as 2 are balancing goods on their heads, desperately chasing customers. Joseph Armstrong has been monitoring the situation and filed this report.
The traffic light turns red. Within seconds, thousands of hawkers flood the road. Among them are children, some barely old enough to attend kindergarten, carrying shoe polish, tissues, paper dusters, plantain chips, handkerchiefs, and other assorted items. They move from one vehicle to another in search of a sale before the traffic light turns green again. Others go as far as cleaning vehicle windscreens and the legs of motor riders.
I gave him money because what he's doing right now, in fact, I really appreciate it.
You appreciate that the underage child is on a highway cleaning people's legs?
Yeah, that's why I've given him that money.
To encourage him to keep doing it?
Yeah.
You want to encourage him?
Yeah, I just want to encourage him to keep on doing good to people.
For many commuters using the Mema Camp stretch, the 37 military hospital intersection and the Opebia enclave, these scenes has become a daily occurrence.
I just sacked one from my side right now. Looking at the situation, I think the government needs to take precaution on that and make sure that if they can get them so either home for them for a training, or because you can see it is very bad. If it happens that there's an accident, you see this thing is going to be it's going to cost the nation a lot.
But beyond the hassle lies a worrying reality. Many of these children are between ages of 2 and 10 years. Some are accompanied by older siblings, while others appear to be under little or no adult supervision. Road safety experts warned that these children face the constant risk of being knocked down by speeding vehicles, with drivers often distracted and traffic conditions changing abruptly. A single mistake could result in tragedy. Some adult hawkers along the Mema Camp Road told the news team that children are knocked down almost every day.
Sometimes car used to knock them. It's true, I've seen some before. They sleep there and they break.
Car bomb de bia. E bi kra car bomb 37. Ye hu pa ye hu ha de bia mu ye fi su ka ho. Enu ntina soldier for no so mu pa mu ye no.
Beyond the physical dangers, child protection advocates say prolonged exposure to street life makes children vulnerable to abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and criminal influence. According to the child welfare experts, poverty, unemployment, migration from rural communities, and weak enforcement of child protection laws remain some of the major drivers of child hawking. For some families, every sale made by a child contributes directly to household income. However, experts insist that economic hardship should never come at the expense of a child's safety, education, and overall well-being.
People are also taking advantage of the children. There was this girl that we were monitoring at Accra Mall area for a period of, I think, a year, before we realized the girl wasn't on the street again, and as to the whereabouts, we couldn't trace that. And that, for me, because the environment is so unrestricted, people tend to take advantage of them.
Motorists express concern about the increasing number of children on the roads. Many fear that unless urgent attention is taken, more children could lose their lives in preventable road accidents.
We have used the ad hoc approach in dealing with this matter. At a point, we had the Ghana Police Service coming in to do the rescue. At a point, we had the Ghana Immigration Service coming in to do that on the basis of their illegal immigrant. If you look at the whole thing, you cannot guarantee the future of these children.
The Children's Act and other child protection regulations prohibit exploitative child labor and place responsibility on parents, guardians, and the state to protect children from hazardous work environment. Yet enforcement remains a challenge. Stakeholders believe the solution requires a coordinated response involving government agencies, local assemblies, security services, schools, traditional authorities, and civil society organizations. The sight of children dodging moving vehicles to earn a few cedis may invoke sympathy, but experts say sympathy alone is not enough. Protecting these children will require decisive action, stronger law enforcement, and a collective commitment to ensuring that every child is in school and safe, not risking their lives on the highways of Accra.
For these children, every day on the street is a struggle for survival at the expense of their education, safety, and childhood. But must we, as a nation with all the institutional powers, including a whole ministry in charge of children and social protection, allow this to continue? Joseph Armstrong, Gold, Alebo TV3, Accra.
Away from that, scores of John Mahama appointees have resigned to contest party positions at various levels as the NDC prepares for internal polls this year. The resignation of Lante Vanderpoel, the national coordinator of the District Road Improvement Program, to contest the NDC's national chairmanship role is what has drawn attention to the party's electoral directives. Party guidelines dictate appointees like ministers, CEOs, MMDCEs and coordinators have to resign 6 months before filing interest to contest any executive role. October to December this year is when the elections will hold, and all eyes are on who may axe themselves next from the Mahama administration. Well, Christian Yali understands what is at play here and covered the announcement of these electoral guidelines to join us for a bit more on this story. Chris, good afternoon to you. Apart from Lante Vanderpoel, who else do we know resigned to contest party positions?
Kamini, we know that earlier before that, the former Director General of the National Information Technology Agency, NITA, Dr. Mark Oliver Kevo, had already resigned. Now, he tells us that the resignation was difficult but also necessary. Now, he currently is the regional chairman of the NDC in the Eastern region, and he is seeking a re-election. And so the understanding is that he is setting aside the role at NITA so that he is able to focus on his bid for the regional chairmanship race. Now, what NDC is saying here, Kamini, is that they have millions, or if you like, thousands of individuals who are qualified, who have the energy and the necessary requirement to occupy government position or portfolios. And so one person cannot share two roles in government and in the party at the same time. Now, the guidelines that the party announced in January this year indicate that for those who want to contest for the constituency election, they were to resign in May 2026. Those who want to contest for the regional executive elections were to resign in April 2026. And now in June, as we are, those who are contesting for the national executive positions are to resign by June 30. And so it is expected that going into the rest of this month, we are going to see more and more people who are interested and are occupying government positions to resign. We can listen to Fifi Fiavikwete at that press conference which I covered, talk about why the party is doing this and then the elaboration on the timelines.
Any person seeking to contest for a party position who currently holds an office to which he or she was appointed by the president or government must resign from that office at least 6 clear months before filing nomination forms. Now, for the avoidance of doubt and for absolute clarity, those intending to contest at the constituency level who fall in the category I just mentioned, the 3 categories I mentioned, those intending to contest at the constituency level shall resign by April 2026. Those intending to contest at the regional level shall resign by May 2026. And those intending to contest at the national level shall resign by June 2026. These provisions are firm, constitutional, and we enforce without exception. So please don't even bother to come and see whether you can plead to be exempted. There's no plea in this matter.
Now, Now, Chris, we hear no pleas for exemption at all, but take us over it again. Which groups must resign and whether or not there are those that are exempted from the rule?
See, the exemptions cover board members and, board chair. So if you are occupying the role of a board chairman or a board member, then you are exempt. Now, there is a term that he uses which is analogous. What it means is that there are those who are not having a full-time government employment. And so, when we're talking about those who have the full-time government employment, we're talking about ministers and their deputies. We're talking about Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executive, MMDCs. We are also talking about Director Generals, coordinators, anyone that the President has appointed or government has appointed to perform any duty. These are the three groups: ministers, deputies, MMDCs, coordinators, directors. These are the people that are to resign by 6 months before December when the elections will take place. Let's listen to Fifi Fiavikwete give the breakdown and the specific groups that are affected. Should they have that desire to contest for an executive role in the party?
Chairpersons or members of boards or persons is in an analogous position are exempt from this restriction. Why? Because they are not full-time employees. So those who are full-time employees are affected. And the following are those who are affected. The affected officers under paragraph 1 include, they are not limited to: A, ministers and deputy ministers; B, chief executive officers, managing directors, their deputies or analogous officers; C, metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives. So those are the three main categories that we mentioned. I take them again. The affected officers under paragraph 1 include, they are not limited to: A, ministers and deputy ministers; B, chief executive officers, managing directors, their deputies or analogous officers; C, metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives.
Christian, what's next for the party?
See, since January this year that these new reforms were outlined, after that announcement which you just played, Kemini, the guidelines were made available to all party members, published on the NDC site. What it means is that everyone as of now is abreast of the specifics and the reforms. It is part of the NDC's internal reorganization. What it means is that if you're watching me and you are a CEO, you are a minister or a deputy, you are a managing director or whoever you are, and you have interest of becoming national chairman of the party or general secretary or whoever that is, then you should be thinking about resigning right now. That is the next action for you. Other than that, you will not meet the requirement and you will not be eligible. You're only eligible when you do not have the government portfolio. Kemini, that is what is expected, and we hope to see, or probably will see, more appointees in government resigning within this month, which is like the deadline for everyone to do what is required of them if they so desire.
Might just be a bit of a dilemma for some of the appointees who may be interested in party positions. Christian, thank you so much for the report. And Christian Yalid joined us on the back of the NDC's latest directive to appointees who may be interested in the fast approaching internal elections of the party. We'll stay on the NDC because, Mawena, while the appointees or some of them are resigning to go after party positions, the president is scoring some good points. On what?
Absolutely, and it's the latest tracking by Global Info Analytics, June tracking, as a matter of fact. The president is recording the highest ever approval rating since 2020, that's according to Global Info Analytics. And we'll connect with Mr. Dankwa shortly, but I just want to walk viewers just quickly through brief summation of what it is that we have on our screen. 71% is what we're seeing for the president, and 23% disapproving of his work, with 6% of them undecided. And it's very important because according to Global Info Analytics, this is the highest presidential approval ratings recorded by the institute or the group since they began work. And I'm going to take all of this to him pretty shortly as well. In terms of the regions and just the repetition of the highest regions, the lowest are northeast and then western north, if I'm not mistaken. Those are the lowest ratings, and so ignore that for me just briefly. We're seeing Savannah region. Savannah region is the home region of the president, as a matter of fact, coming through with the highest in terms of approval ratings, and then the western north region. Greater Accra is cosmopolitan. There's been a lot of analysis made that, look, if you want to test the pulse of the country, one of such places you should be doing that is in the Greater Accra region. And in the stronghold of the opposition, we're seeing a 55% as well approval rating for the president. I want to take you right now to Musa Dankwa, who's joining us via Zoom for a quick chat. In relation to what it is that we're seeing. Mr. Dankwa, I appreciate you for joining us this afternoon. 71%, and in your own words, the highest ever. What could be accounting for what it is that we're seeing?
Thank you very much for having me. Look, we started polling in beyond after the 2020 elections, and we've always been recording approval for the president from Nanado till Mahama. This is the first time we've had approval rating hit 71%. Now, let me explain a slight change in the approach or the way we measure it. We used to ask people to give us whether they approve or disapprove, or they have no opinion. We came to the understanding that some people may be happy with certain things and not happy with many things, but they wouldn't want to say approve or disapprove. So what we've done, as many other polling companies do in the world, is to create a shade of approval by saying strongly approve or somewhat approve, strongly opposed, somewhat opposed, or disapprove, and no opinion. And then you consolidate by adding the approvals together and disapproval together. This gives people a realistic chance to really measure how they see the president. And when we've done that, we've seen a lot more people being able to pick an option that best suits them, rather than us boxing them in a corner. So we have 71% approval now and 23% disapprove. Now, if you go through the data in terms of other things that may be driving this, on the direction of the country, 66% of Ghanaians say Ghana is heading in the right direction. It was 65 in the previous poll, so slight improvement. And normally, the direction of the country moves in tandem with the approval of the president. So they move line by line. If they drop in the direction of the country, Mahama drops. That's what we've seen over the past 6 or 5 years. Then you go to the data again. You ask yourself, what are the people's view about standard of living? 57% are saying it has improved compared to the last 12 months. Slight decline, but not significant, within margin of error. It was 58 before and now 57. Those who say it has worsened has remained unchanged. It's flat, 16 and 16 today. And those who are saying that nothing has changed, for them it's the same 23%. But no opinion has moved from 3 to 4%. Now, if you look at the optimism for improvement in the future,
right,
will things be improved? Will things improve in the next 12 months? 68% are saying yes, they think it will improve. Those who said no has declined from 22% to 21%. So these are high numbers.
Right.
And these high numbers of optimism and the direction of the country tend to feed into the president approval rating. So what we are seeing is normal.
Right. We've been doing some checks around as well. At the last time your tracking came through, we saw one from the IEA as well, which similar, almost same numbers in terms of approval ratings for the president. This time, theirs have seen a marginal drop of some sort for the president, whereas you're seeing the highest ever for the president. A curious question as to, I know you don't ask why, but that will obviously have people asking a bit of questions as to, okay, what's playing out here as we're seeing this data come from Global Info Analytics?
Look, the sampling size is very important. If you spread 1,000 interviews across the country, it will be thinly spread with a greater margin of error. If you spread 7,000 to 8,000 across the entire country, you'll be very well represented. So the sampling is a very important point to note, and also the margin of error. But it's also important to understand that, look, we randomly picked these areas we've given you. In fact, we went to the same areas we picked in March, in June, to see truly if things have changed within the same areas we covered randomly. And nothing much has changed with the exception of approval of the president. So some of these things are quite important. Also, the timing of the survey, look, at a point in time, timing of the surveys will give sometimes different outcomes.
Right.
But most importantly, not every survey would confirm exactly the same thing. They may differ. In the United States, you can have polls from Gallup, polls from YouGov, having the various level of the same approval rating for the president, and nobody disputes them.
Right. Mr. Dankwa, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. I'm sure we'll talk again pretty soon, but I appreciate you for joining us this afternoon here on the Bulletin. I want to go over right now to the phone lines and speak to Dr. Samuel Efree. He's a senior lecturer at the Kumasi Technical University. He's joining us as well. Doc, I appreciate you. 71% approval ratings in the Ashanti region. We're seeing 55% as well in terms of what is a stronghold of the opposition. How do you interpret this almost 2 years into the second term of President Mahama? Hello, Doc. Are you with us? It does appear we may have just lost Dr. Samuel Efree briefly on the telephone lines, but we will seek to connect with him pretty shortly. But 71 approval ratings is what it is that we're seeing for the president. 66% say the country is headed in the right direction. Let us know what you think as we're streaming on Facebook. But I want to take that question back to Dr. Samuel Efree. Doc, I was asking what all of this meant almost 2 years into the second term of President Mahama, approval ratings hitting high notes. What could this possibly mean in terms of foretelling of things to come?
Yes, thank you very much. You know, looking at the reports or maybe the findings, just reposing confidence in the government of the day about how the president is doing his job. But, you know, some of these things, I think the researchers could have let us know. I think they have their own variables, but it gives credence to the current government to put these things, whether the positive ones as well, and also the negative, because when you look at the report, there are certain issues that the report identified for the government to look at. So I think the government has some few years in power, and the expectations of Ghanaians as it keeps on continuing need to be answered in terms of what they expect from the president. So, but so far, I think the report gives credence to what the president is doing from the people of this country based on the findings that we've just had an opportunity to.
Well, it's important to mention other aspects which are of concern. Employment is one of such, and I'm sure you've been able to glance through the report as well. That expectedly is supposed to be a major hurdle for the government going forward. How do you see that play out in terms of whether or not it affects the popularity of this administration, considering internal elections are already starting and people are looking ahead into the next major elections?
Yes, I think, you know, it's about what people expect. You know, the government, but when the president was in opposition and coming to power, I think they profess to the 24-hour economy to solve most of the issues of employment. So I think that might be one of the reasons. So you know that the opposition has been hitting that area very well about the 24-hour economy that the government of the day is not trying to come out with, even though there are some processes that have been started. But the result is what people want to see. So I think that if the government tends to look at it more and see ways of, because the expectations of employment for the young ones especially is very, very high. And I believe that the government of the day needs to work faster, because if not, it might affect the internal elections, as you said, and also the president might not leave a good legacy, especially in terms of employment for the people of this country.
Right then, Doc, we'll leave it here. I'm sure we can talk a bit more subsequently. That's Dr. Samuel Efree speaking to us this afternoon here on the Bulletin. Will take us on to our very first break this afternoon. When we return, we're in Salaga because the youth in the area have taken over the government hospital there, chased the MP away over a missing baby. We get all of those details if you stay with us here on News Central. Please stay with us.
around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost to tides. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana. The conversation on climate security implications in Ghana. The Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Keta, Accra. Starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time, the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. Because the time for Ghana to act is now. In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us, ideas challenge us. An honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abnanya Kumasi, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Welcome back. It's still News Central here on TV3. Now, family of the baby who got missing at the Salaga Government Hospital and other residents have blocked entry points to the community in protest of the incident. The family has vowed to go every length to ensure that the hospital is held accountable. Christopher Amwako is in Salaga for us. He's been following this development since news broke of the missing child. Chris, now we know hospital management has been speaking exclusively to us about the impact of this, especially on service delivery. But before you tell us about that, let's talk about the family and their insistence to block entry points into the community. What is the situation now?
Yes, coming in Israeli. So yesterday, the members of the community blocked some entry and exit points of the community, especially when they heard that a member of parliament for the area, Haja Zubira Ibrahima, was visiting the community to sympathize with them over the missing of the baby. Now, they have also placed some billboards and some banners across the vantage points of the community indicating that no child, no entry. And so yesterday they had to chase the member of parliament away from the community because they did not even want to listen to her. They also sent a word to the overlord of the Kwembi traditional area, Kwembi Rabambange, and so the fourth, indicating that he will have to make a statement on that to compel the hospital to produce the baby for them. For them, all they want to see is the baby and not any sweet talks from anybody. They just want to have their baby and the matter will go to rest. Let's take a listen to the member of parliament for the area after she was chased away from the community.
Yeah, it presents a security challenge, no doubt about it. And as we were coming back, one of my guys said, oh, but we should even have gone with the police, which I think for me as a person wasn't necessary. You only gauge the feeling of the people when it's genetic, natural feeling. You don't go there with security, that will impede people's emotions. They express their emotions. They are a very angry community, and they are right. You cannot blame them. Every parent, every community will express the feelings that they did. So ours is to look at how to manage those emotions. It becomes incumbent for the municipal chief executive, for example, to maybe double up on a visit there at a time when tempers have calmed down. You know, sometimes because they vote for us as members of parliament, we are the first to. So maybe the MC, who is quite neutral, might be able to get to the opportunity to sit down with them and have a conversation. I think that's where we are. We need to calm down, all of us, and engage them. We also need to respect their feelings. They may be turning us away will not be the best, but under the circumstances, that's what they felt like doing. Too bad. We need to. Oh, no ransom, except that they are looking for their baby. And we are going to help. Whatever we can do with the security agency. We went with you to the police command. I was very impressed with the extent of the network that he has invoked to try to find this baby. So we pray that this baby is found somehow so that we can mend the relationship with the community.
Christopher, now tell us, what's the situation in Kulpe today?
Hello, Kevin, if you can come again.
I am asking what the situation is in Kulpe today in regards to the protest that was staged yesterday.
Yes, so the community is calm. For them, they are not doing any demonstration that will sort of mark the peace of the area, but all they're asking for is that whoever that is coming to talk to them should ensure that the person is coming to the community with their baby. So as we speak, they've all gone to their farms, and when they return and any official attempts to get into the community, they have vowed to turn away any other official. They are also indicating strongly that they are going to take the hospital on. They are going to trigger a legal action against the hospital if the baby is not brought to them.
Well, Chris, speaking of the hospital, you spoke exclusively to management. What did they tell you about how the situation is impacting the ability to deliver healthcare to the people of Salaga?
Yes, Kemini, it is a very worrying situation for hospital management. Since the incident happened, management has not rested on the issue. Every day there have been series of meetings, there have been engagement, investigations here and there. They have also been running to and fro the police station. And so it's been a serious matter for them, which, according to hospital management, is affecting healthcare delivery. Because first of all, the medical superintendent is a management member. And so anytime that he's not readily available and is at other places, it affects healthcare delivery. Now, the hospital staff, the nurses, the midwives, and others are also equally traumatized, according to the hospital management, even though they are trying to psych them up to continue to deliver quality services to the people. But they believe that the situation is psychologically affecting the staff, and which is affecting quality of the healthcare services that they deliver at the hospital. Let's take a listen to the administrator of the Salaga Government Hospital, who has been talking to us exclusively.
Had been done with the police. The police came around and then we reviewed those cameras. But like I said, because it doesn't cover a larger area, so they are likely to miss out some visuals. The midwives on duty that day, what is coming up? They saw a young lady with long braids and then a white top, then a dress, which they even interacted with the person and asked the person what she really wanted there. She said she was waiting for somebody. So they are really suspecting that that particular lady could have it's possible that person could have taken the baby. Yes. So.
Well, Christopher, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Christopher Mwako is our Savannah and Northern Regions correspondent. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, let's take you to the Ashanti region.
Oh, there's something where. Mrs. Me pray, Papa.
Sisi yoko, kanyo nako.
Alright. For Mrs. Wontumi. Ko sete. The back mama mo adu na trafe. E friend Angel Rock Base. E ye Mrs. Yare pa. Mrs. Kan no na say. E train ni di boa. Angel Rock Mixture. E dina no abono. Me friend them to some baba.
Back here on the bulletin, let's take you to the Ashanti region quickly because the mayor of Kumasi says the assembly will not hesitate to demolish structures obstructing waterways as part of efforts to reduce flooding in the city. Richard Akwesio-Foriajiman admits that while such actions may be painful, they are necessary to protect lives and property and prevent recurrent floods in the area. I want to take you to Ibrahim right now, who's been following up on the story for us because it was quite a scene to behold from the weekend when it rained in the Ashanti region. Ibrahim, talk to us. What's the plan? Are there areas which have been earmarked to see demolitions?
Well, Mauna, yes, so the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has even started. It has begun demolishing some buildings that have been sitting on waterways. Even last week, one of its staff got injured at a demolition site. So that is happening. The mayor says even though it is very, very disheartening to demolish buildings, it has not been an easy decision, but then it is also very necessary they do it, just that they will be able to safeguard lives and properties and also even reduce the risk of future flooding. Generally, when you look at the flood situation in Kumasi, you realize that there has been some form of improvement. However, part of the metropolis continues to face serious challenges. Probably the improvement was because of the difficulty and the dredging exercise carried out ahead of the rainy season. But we are still seeing it and very severe in some areas. Last weekend, UST was also not spared. But let's listen briefly what the mayor has been saying.
Absolutely.
I was excited when we appeared before the Kumasi Traditional Council, and most chiefs were unanimous that the chiefs should desist from that kind of activity because nobody will get up and go and build in a waterway unless a chief who is the custodian of the land sells it to you, or unless a family member who is also a part owner of the land sell it to them. And so the first plea is that we'll plead with our chiefs not to be selling waterbeds for housing projects. It's painful when you have to demolish somebody's lifetime investment. Nobody does that with excitement. Very, very painful. Sometimes.
Mayor of Kumasi, and earlier my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar.
Well, and just before we go, we understand President John Dramani Mahama and his appointees have donated some 6.1 million cedis as monthly deductions and penalties for late submissions of assets declarations to the Auditor General. More of that story on 3news.com and in later broadcasts, but it looks like some good developments there.
Yes. I think a number of persons had asked questions, in the wake of asset declarations and the president saying that, look, I've given you this deadline. If you do not do it, in the aftermath, people were like, okay, so was it just talk? Nothing happened?
Yeah.
Well, at least
this
there's
is
some
what's
update in that regard. 6.1 million cedis to Mahama Cares, and so hopefully it goes to help persons in need in that regard as well. That's our bulletin for you.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Mademoiselle.
How many more years to go now? After completing one full year. All right.
Goodness.
We'll see you same time tomorrow. I'm Kamini Amano.
And I am Mawina Egbeta. Many thanks for watching.